Lionel Messi was a very famous soccer player. Everywhere he went, people wanted to take pictures with him and talk to him. But one night he just wanted some quiet time. He went to a small, cozy restaurant on a quiet street, hoping no one would notice him. He wore a simple sweatshirt and a cap, sitting in a corner where he could enjoy his meal in peace. The restaurant felt warm and welcoming, with soft lights and old paintings on the walls. Messi was looking at the menu when he heard a beautiful sound. A young girl, about 13 years old, was standing on a small stage holding a microphone with both hands. Her voice was soft at first, but then it grew stronger and filled the whole restaurant. Everyone stopped talking. The waiters, the customers, everyone listened to her sing. When she finished, there was a moment of silence, then loud clapping. The girl, looking shy, smiled and bowed before stepping off the stage. Messi was curious. He called a waiter over. "Does she sing here often?" he asked. The waiter smiled. "Yes, almost every night. Her name is Lucia. She sings to help her grandfather. He is sick and needs surgery, but they don't have enough money to pay for it." Messi was surprised. Her grandfather? What happened to him? The waiter sighed. "His name is Don Ramon. He was a very hard-working man, but now he is old and sick. Lucia sings so she can earn money for his surgery. She is a kind girl with a big heart, but she carries a heavy burden for someone so young." Messi felt sad hearing this. Soon, Lucia walked around the restaurant with a small donation box, collecting money from the customers. When she reached Messi's table, he smiled at her. "You sang beautifully," Messi said warmly. Lucia looked surprised but gave him a small smile. "Thank you. Is your grandfather okay?" Messi asked kindly. Lucia's smile faded a little. "He will be, if we can save enough money." She held the donation box close to her chest. "He always tells me to be brave even when life is hard." Messi nodded, impressed by her courage. He watched as she moved to other tables, still smiling despite her worries. She wasn't just a great singer, she was a fighter. That night, Messi left the restaurant deep in thought. Lucia's story reminded him of his own childhood in Rosario. He remembered how his family struggled to pay for his medical treatment when he was young. He knew he had to do something to help her. Messi couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Lucia and her grandfather. Early the next morning, he went back to the restaurant. The waiter from the night before saw him and smiled. "Mr. Messi, I didn't expect to see you again so soon." Messi got straight to the point. "I can't stop thinking about that girl and her grandfather. Will she be coming today?" The waiter shook his head. "She usually comes after school. But you can wait here if you want." Messi ordered a coffee and sat in the same corner. While waiting, he looked around the restaurant and noticed a small sign near the counter. It said, "Here, every kind action makes a difference." Messi smiled. This place wasn't just a restaurant, it was a place where people helped each other. When the waiter returned, Messi asked, "Does Don Ramon come here too?" "Not anymore," the waiter said sadly. "He is too weak now. But he used to work in construction. He even helped build the municipal stadium." Messi was shocked. "The same stadium where I started playing soccer as a child?" The waiter nodded. "Yes, the same one. Funny, isn't it? You played there and now you're here learning about the man who helped build it." Messi felt chills. This didn't feel like a simple coincidence, it felt like fate. Later that day, Lucia arrived at the restaurant looking tired after school. The waiter pointed her toward Messi. She hesitated before walking up to him. "You came back?" she asked, surprised. Messi smiled. "Yes, I want to know more about you and your grandfather. He seems like a special man." Lucia looked down. "He is. He worked all his life to take care of me. He always says that what we leave behind for others is what matters. But now, he thinks he didn't leave anything important." Messi felt his heart ache. "He's wrong," he said firmly. "He has left behind something very important." Lucia didn't say anything, but she seemed touched by his words. Messi then asked, "Can I meet him?" Lucia hesitated. "He doesn't like visitors. He doesn't want anyone to see him sick. But maybe he'll like you. I'll ask him." The next afternoon, Messi went to Lucia's home. She looked nervous as she led him inside. "Grandpa, this is Lionel Messi," Lucia said softly. "He wanted to meet you." The old man looked at Messi, confused. "Why would someone like you want to meet someone like me?" Messi smiled. "You helped build the stadium where my dreams began. You built more than just a building, you built opportunities for people like me." Don Ramon was silent for a moment, then sighed. "All right, let's see what you have in mind." Messi wanted to help, but he knew Don Ramon was too proud to accept money. So he and Miguel, the restaurant owner, came up with an idea, a special event at the restaurant to raise money for Lucia's grandfather. They planned a big night with music, decorations, and lots of guests. Messi covered all the costs, but he wanted Lucia to be the star of the event. The news spread quickly. People from the community wanted to help. Some brought food, others brought musical instruments. Everyone wanted to support Lucia and Don Ramon. Finally, the night of the event arrived. The restaurant was beautifully decorated. It was filled with people who came to listen to Lucia sing and support her family. Lucia wore a simple blue dress. She looked nervous but excited. Messi found her backstage before her performance. "Are you ready?" he asked with a warm smile. Lucia took a deep breath. "I think so. I've never seen the restaurant this full." "That's because everyone is here for you," Messi said. "You're not just singing, you're inspiring people." Lucia nodded. When she stepped onto the stage, the audience cheered. She looked out and saw her grandfather sitting in the front row, smiling proudly. That was all she needed. She took a deep breath and began to sing. That night, Lucia wasn't just a girl raising money for her grandfather. She was a star, shining brighter than ever before. Lucia started singing, her voice strong and full of feelings. Every note told a story, and everyone in the room listened quietly, amazed by her beautiful voice. Messi stood at the back, watching her with pride and admiration. In that moment, Lucia wasn't just a girl trying to help her family. She was a star. When she finished, the whole room clapped loudly. Don Ramon wiped his eyes without anyone noticing. Lucia smiled shyly, feeling happy. Then Miguel walked onto the stage with a microphone in his hand. "Thank you all for coming tonight. You didn't just come to hear a wonderful voice, but also to help someone who really needs it," he said. Then he looked at Lucia. "I have great news. Thanks to everyone's kindness, we have raised more than enough money for Don Ramon's surgery." The crowd cheered loudly. Lucia was shocked. She couldn't believe it. Don Ramon looked surprised and shook his head as if it wasn't real. Slowly, he stood up, smiling, and walked to the stage to hug his granddaughter. Messi stayed in the back, smiling. He didn't need to be the center of attention. The most important thing was seeing Lucia and Don Ramon happy together. Later, when most people had left, Lucia packed up the donation box. She walked over to Messi and asked with a small, grateful smile, "It was you, wasn't it?" Messi tried not to answer directly. "I just had an idea. But you made this happen, Lucia. The voice, the strength, that was all you." Lucia looked emotional but didn't ask again. That night, Messi left the restaurant knowing he had given Lucia and Don Ramon something more important than money, hope that together they could overcome anything. The benefit night was a success, but Lucia's worries didn't go away. Even though they had the money, time was still running out. Don Ramon didn't want the surgery, and every day his health got worse. Lucia tried to stay hopeful, but Messi could see how heavy her heart was. Don Ramon spent his days sitting on the sofa, saying very little. He hardly spoke about the benefit night, which made Lucia worried. One afternoon, while cooking lunch, she asked, "Grandpa, why are you like this?" "We got the money. The surgery will help you." Don Ramon sighed and looked out the window. "What if it doesn't work? What if I don't wake up after the surgery? Then you will be left alone, with debts and memories that only make you sad." Lucia felt frustrated. "Why do you always think the worst? I'm fighting for you. Don't you see that I need you to fight too?" Don Ramon's eyes filled with sadness, but he didn't say anything. Lucia left the kitchen, holding back tears. Messi, who had just arrived, saw her sitting on the stairs, hugging her knees. "He doesn't understand," she said, quickly wiping her face when she saw Messi. "He doesn't understand that everything I do is for him." Messi sat beside her and took a deep breath. "I think he does understand, Lucia. But it's hard for him to accept help. He has always been strong for you. Now he is scared that you are giving up your life for him." Lucia shook her head. "But he is my life. Everything I am is because of him." Messi put a hand on her shoulder. "Then show him. Sometimes words aren't enough. He needs to see that you are by his side because you want to be, not because you have to be." Lucia thought for a moment. Maybe Messi was right. Later, Messi spoke to Don Ramon. "Don Ramon, men like you have worked hard to give younger generations a future. You are a silent hero. But now, it's time to accept the love and care that you gave to others." Don Ramon took a deep breath and nodded slowly. "Maybe I did leave something important behind." Messi smiled. "You left more than you think. And I want to show you." Messi had a special plan. He spoke to the stadium managers about Don Ramon and asked if he could visit. Lucia's eyes lit up when she heard the idea. "It's perfect. Grandpa always talks about the stadium but never went back. This will mean so much to him. On the big day, Messi arrived with a car. Lucia was excited, but Don Ramon hesitated. Is this really necessary? I don't need tributes, he said. Lucia smiled. This isn't a tribute, Grandpa. It's recognition. You deserve to see what you built. During the drive, Don Ramon was quiet but emotional. When they arrived, old workers greeted him warmly. But the best moment was when Messi led him to the middle of the field. Don Ramon looked around, his eyes shining. I never thought I'd be here again, he whispered. Messi said, this isn't just a stadium, it's a field of dreams. Many children, including me, started their dreams here. And you helped make that possible. Lucia held his hand. You always said what matters is what we leave behind. Look around, Grandpa, this is your legacy. Don Ramon finally understood. He was part of something bigger. As they left, Messi saw hope in his eyes. The morning of the surgery was calm. Lucia walked around, organizing things for the hospital. Don Ramon sat on the couch, looking nervous. Messi arrived with fresh bread and coffee. Good morning. We need energy for the day. Lucia smiled, but Don Ramon only nodded, lost in thought. Messi tried to make him feel better. Don Ramon, are you ready for today's match? Don Ramon raised an eyebrow. What match? Messi grinned. The most important match of your life. There's no soccer field, but the rules are the same. Stay focused, trust your team, and go all in to win. Don Ramon laughed a little. You're good with words, kid. But I'm still scared. Lucia took his hand. You're not alone, Grandpa. We are with you. We've overcome so much. This is just another battle. Don Ramon looked at her and Messi. He took a deep breath and nodded. All right, let's do this. At the hospital, the doctors explained everything. Before going in, Don Ramon held Lucia and Messi close. I don't know what will happen, but I'm grateful for everything. Thank you for not giving up on me. Lucia wiped her tears. You're going to make it, Grandpa, and we'll watch a match together, remember? Messi smiled. I promise it will be a victory. Lucia walked back and forth in the room, waiting and waiting. It felt like forever. Messi sat quietly, trying to stay calm, but he was also worried. He knew this moment was very important for Lucia. She had worked so hard for months, and now everything depended on this surgery. Finally, the doctor came in with a big smile. The surgery went well. Don Ramon is fine, but he will need time to get better. Lucia let out a deep breath and sat down, feeling so happy and relieved. Messi put a hand on her shoulder and smiled. See? I told you everything would be okay. When they went to see Don Ramon in his hospital room, he was awake but looked tired. When he saw them, he gave a small smile. So, I made it? I won? He joked in a weak voice. Lucia laughed even as tears filled her eyes. Grandpa, you were always a winner. You just needed to remember. Messi sat by the bed and grinned. Now you have to get better fast because we have a soccer game to watch. Don Ramon looked at both of them, his heart full of gratitude. You both have done so much for me. I promise I will try my best to get better, not just for me but for you. Lucia squeezed his hand while Messi smiled. They had won this battle, but they knew the biggest challenge was ahead, helping Don Ramon find happiness again. One day, Don Ramon visited the big soccer stadium where he had worked many years ago. When he arrived, he was surprised to see a group of workers and staff waiting for him. They showed him old pictures of when he helped build the stadium. In one photo, he was holding tools and smiling with his friends. But the biggest surprise came when Messi took him to the center of the field. The stadium was empty, but on the giant screen, bright words appeared. For those who build more than just buildings, for those who build dreams. Thank you, Don Ramon. Don Ramon stood still, looking at the message with tears in his eyes. Lucia held his hand tightly while Messi stood beside him, letting him enjoy the moment. After a few seconds, Don Ramon wiped his eyes and chuckled softly. I never thought anyone would do something like this for me, he said, looking at Lucia and Messi. Thank you for reminding me that my life mattered. Lucia hugged him and Messi felt proud. Don Ramon finally saw how important he was. After visiting the stadium, Don Ramon felt lighter. He still did not talk much, but Messi and Lucia noticed he looked happier. He tried harder in his recovery, walking more, exercising, and talking more with Lucia. Messi kept visiting them, always bringing words of encouragement and fun surprises. One afternoon, Messi arrived with an envelope. Lucia was cooking, and Don Ramon was reading an old newspaper. I have a surprise for you both, Messi said, putting the envelope on the table. Don Ramon looked at it suspiciously. Another surprise? What is it this time? Messi smiled and nodded for Lucia to open it. Inside were 2 special tickets with Don Ramon and Lucia's names. They were for Messi's next big game with the best seats and backstage access. Lucia gasped, holding the tickets like treasure. Messi, this is amazing. Don Ramon, however, looked unsure. I don't think I belong at such events. I'm not that important. Messi leaned closer and said, Don Ramon, you are very important. This is not just a game, this is to celebrate everything you have done. And remember, I promised to take you to see a victory. Don Ramon hesitated, but when he saw Lucia's excited face, he sighed and nodded. All right, but only because this girl deserves it. The stadium was full of energy. Don Ramon and Lucia arrived early with Messi, who showed them around before the game. This place is huge, Lucia said, holding her grandpa's arm. Don Ramon was quiet, taking everything in. Backstage, Messi introduced them to his teammates. So, you're the famous Don Ramon, one player said. It's an honor to meet you. Don Ramon was surprised by all the attention, but Messi saw a little pride in his eyes. The game started and Lucia and Don Ramon sat in a special area. The crowd cheered loudly. Lucia was smiling, and Don Ramon watched everything with a calm, happy look. Then, something amazing happened. Messi scored a goal, and when he lifted his jersey, there was a message on his undershirt. Thank you, Don Ramon, for building dreams. The words appeared on the stadium's big screen, and the whole crowd cheered. Don Ramon stared at the screen, tears in his eyes. Lucia hugged him tightly. See, Grandpa? You are special. You are part of all this. Don Ramon wiped his tears and whispered, I think I finally understand. The match ended with a big win, but for Don Ramon, the real victory was in the stands. As they left, he said, This is a day I will never forget. Thank you, kid. Messi smiled. You have done so much for me even if you didn't know it. Now it was my turn to do something for you. Lucia squeezed her grandfather's hand. Messi, you changed our lives. You helped us see that we are stronger together. Messi nodded. And this is just the beginning. Weeks passed and life became brighter. Don Ramon got stronger and Lucia finally let herself dream. Messi was always around, not as a superstar but as a friend. One night, Lucia sang at Miguel's restaurant. The place was full. Messi smiled at her. Ready to shine? Lucia nodded. Yes, I think I am. When she started singing, her voice was full of confidence. Don Ramon, watching proudly, turned to Messi and said, That girl is going to go far. Messi smiled. She has everything she needs. And you helped her. After the show, Lucia ran to her grandfather. Did you like it? Don Ramon held her face with love. You were perfect. Your grandmother would be proud. I am proud. That night, before Messi left, Don Ramon took his hand. This home will always be yours. Messi smiled. Thank you. I will never forget this. As Messi walked away, Lucia and Don Ramon watched him go. Their lives had changed forever. Messi was not just a football star. He was family. And their story was a story of love, hope, and the power of never giving up. If you enjoyed this story, share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories filled with adventure, mystery, and excitement. Your support means the world and it helps keep these stories coming. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.